everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you've hung out with me before, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, my name is Avon Van Hassel. I write fairy tale retellings, and my series, The Beanseller Saga, or at least the first 3 books, are available for ebook and paperback on Amazon. I also have a blog, and I am here on YouTube every month, roughly, I'm getting better, to give you tips and tricks or things to try in your writing, as well as historical gossip, and in the case of today, a little bit of storytelling, a little bit of mythology here. Every year, I poll my followers on Facebook, sometimes on Instagram, to see what they would like me to write about or make a video about in the coming year. And the majority is always time management, but the next most popular choice is mythology, relating to deities and entities presiding over the arts. So, creative writing, poetry, theater, song, painting, that sort of thing, sort of creative deities. So I thought it'd be fun to kick off this series with the originals, the best in the business, the Muses. Now, just as a little bit of a disclaimer, because I feel like there should be a disclaimer, I'm not Greek, I don't live in Greece, and I'm not a classical archaeologist or a Hellenic pagan, so the information I have here is a very tip of the iceberg sort of overview of who these characters are and how we understand their functions from a modern American perspective. And I do encourage you to dive deeper if you're interested in any of these, or you could ask me and I could give it a little bit of a closer look. But just keep that in mind, that this is not all the information that there is to know. The history and the culture of the area we now consider Greece, and that whole region in the Mediterranean, is so much older and so much deeper and so much more complex than I think people really understand. I think a lot of people just kind of think that like ancient Greece is where it began, and that just, it's so much older. So, and in a lot of these areas, like Greece, like Egypt, like China, like everywhere really, the story might be one way at one time in one area, and then over time and over distance it changes. So what I'm giving here is just the very basics, like just the story that we've been telling the last 100 years or so over here in the States. So I do encourage you to look deeper if you want to, or like I said, message me and I will have a deeper look. But yeah, feel free to do your own research as well, because it is such an interesting topic. So, straight into it. So the Muses is a really huge topic to cover because their number changed over time, their function changed over time, their origins changed over time, and they're just a really kind of a complicated thing. So I'm going to break them up a bit in this series. Now last year, I think it was last year, the year before, anyway, in the past sometime, I actually started this series on my blog a little while ago, and I gave like an overview of the Muses, and I did a little bit on Calliope. And then today, my blog post is going live on the Muses, and it's the next installment, which is Klio and Euterpe. So I'm only going to do the overview, Calliope, and Klio and Euterpe in this video, and I will release the next couple of chunks as the blog posts come out. So it's going to be a little while. I'm not going to do all 9 Muses in this video. I'm just going to do the 3 and a little overview. So who are the Muses? The Muses are, I guess they're goddesses technically, because one parent was a god and the other one wasn't really a mortal. But anyway, we're going to say goddesses just for ease. Yeah, because their father was Zeus and their mother was Mnemosyne, who is a Titan, which means that she's his aunt, and that's fine. Anyway, she's the personification of memory. So the daughters, the Muses, are their daughters, and they're inspirational entities, and they preside over things like history and music with lyrics and creative writing and comedy and that sort of thing. Also astronomy. So, which at the time was considered kind of an art. So However, over time, it seems to me like the most popular number was 3, but the number that stuck was 9. So various ancient writers give them various names and have them presiding over specific things. Everybody seems to have a different level of detail for who they are, what their names are, what they do. But the most popular one that came down to us was from Homer, and he gave them the names that we recognize today. So where do the Muses actually come from? This is kind of a tricky question. Like I said, every answer is going to be weird. It's going to be different. Some scholars say that they were Thracian. So the earliest known records of the Muses come from Boeotia, which is a region of Greece. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. I'm doing my best. And there were only 3, and they were worshipped out at Mount Helicon, which is kind of near Delphi. There are also some ancient sources that say that they came from Ethiopia, which ancient Ethiopia was a geographical region attributed to a specific skin tone found in North Africa. And it doesn't seem to be directly related to the modern country of Ethiopia, but I don't know, that feels really complicated to me. There must be a reason why the names are so similar. The ancient Roman historian Varro said that there were 3. One presided over water, one over wind, and one over the human voice. It is said that there were 3 that were worshipped at Delphi, and that they were named after the 3 chords of the lyre, the musical instrument. There were apparently 3 that were understood to be daughters of Apollo. Some of them say that Apollo is the leader of them. He's sort of like their boss. A lot of stories say that he's romantically involved with one or more of them. This is what I'm saying about stories changing across time and space. So there's also stories that they came from Gaia, who's the personification of the earth. She's also a titan. They're sometimes associated with water nymphs more than goddesses. There are stories that there is actually essentially 2 generations of Muses, that the first generation were the daughters of Gaia, and the second generation was the daughter of Zeus and Mnemosyne, and then there may have even been a 3rd generation where a king of Macedon said that his 9 daughters had skills to rival the Muses, and so he named them after the Muses, which of course led to a very Arachnean sort of confrontation where the girls didn't live up to his estimation of them, and they were turned into jays, the little birds. So it's kind of a complicated history. So for the purposes of this video, and in agreement with the way that most of it is taught today, we're just going to stick with Homer's 9. So the Muses are Calliope, Klio, Euterpe, Thalia, Melpomene, Terpsichore, Erato, Polyhymnia, and Urania. So we're going to start off with Calliope, who is my personal favorite. And in fact, I have... See that one up there? That is a woodcut of Calliope that I got from a used bookstore, an old rare bookstore in the Plaka in Athens. So, and my sister has a matching one that's Urania. So, because Urania is her favorite muse and Calliope is my favorite muse. So she is the chief of the Muses. She's Urania is supposedly the oldest sister, but Calliope is the bossiest. Her name means beautiful voice, and she is often depicted with the lyre, which I believe... No, she doesn't have a lyre there. She has a tablet and stylus, which I also work with a tablet and stylus. And she's often depicted with a red cloak. Sometimes she has books and scrolls. Sometimes she has a crown. Sometimes she's depicted with her children, who we'll get into in a second. And she is considered to be the wisest and most assertive of the Muses. So she's the one to go to if you are a creative writer. She presides over eloquence and epic poetry. She's argued to be the muse that Homer invokes at the beginning of the Odyssey, that Ovid invokes at the beginning of the Aeneid, and I agree that she is also the muse of fire that Shakespeare refers to at the beginning of Henry V. I don't know who else he'd be referring to. She has many children. One is Orpheus. Yes, that Orpheus. Too bad about him. Another one is Linus, who was either fathered by her brother Apollo, or the king of Thrace, although sometimes Linus is considered either Clio's or Polyhymnia's son by the same guy, so we're not really sure. Kind of history and stories, right? She also has a bunch of daughters, many of whom were fathered by that same king of Thrace. She's said to have given birth to the Corybantes, which seems to be a sort of a dancing cult. Possibly she had them with Zeus, who's sometimes considered her father. She also possibly had the Sirens by the river god Aeschylus. I think I'm pronouncing that right also, but I'm not super certain. And also possibly Rhesus by Strymon. And so then the last two of those baby daddies were river gods. So that's kind of fun. She's got a lot of kids by a lot of odd choices. That, like, Zeus and Apollo I get. I mean, I don't get it, but, like, mythology, right? And, like, the king of Thrace I get because he's a king, sure. But, like, river gods, were they hot? They had to be hot. I don't know where this conversation is going. She had a lot of kids. So if you want to have a piece of Calliope near you as an inspiration, a little shrine to Calliope to sort of invoke her I guess patronage to you, I would suggest either like a little scroll on a tablet or a lyre, because that was one of her symbols, possibly even a little crown. And if you want to make an offering, I'm sure wine and honey would be very welcome. It might also be cute to sort of like read back a little bit of your writing that you're particularly proud of, just as a kind of like keep the ball rolling kind of thing, right? So that's Calliope, my personal favorite, Queen of the Muses. And now we're going to move on to Clio. Clio with a K means to exalt or to celebrate. The spellings are kind of interchangeable, but the K is considered to be more accurate. Also, Clio with a C, if you're of a certain age, you might get a little mixed up with the mermaid, and it's not her. Different Clio. Clio is known as the Proclaimer. She's often shown with scrolls and books also, but as well as trumpets, tablets, water clocks, and laurels. Clio is the muse of history. It's often said that history is told by the winners, so she is history being told by the winners. So she's very big on grand and exciting deeds. She loves to tell stories of war, love, cleverness, loss, revenge, all the fun things that make history exciting to learn about. So one little funny story that I included in the blog was that one time she was teasing Aphrodite for falling in love with Adonis. So then Aphrodite tricked Clio into falling in love with Piraeus, the son of King Magnus. Now with Piraeus, Clio had a son named Hyacinth. And Hyacinth was like everybody's boy. He was a lover of Apollo, who was sometimes also Clio's lover and also possibly brother, as well as the West Wind, the North Wind, and a famous singer from Sparta. So it's kind of not really sure if that was revenge that Aphrodite got on her or not, but it's kind of funny that it's just like, if you want to inspire her, you want to inspire historic deeds, place laurels around, especially like a crown of laurels, wear laurels in your hair, cook with bay leaves in your food, and proudly proclaim your accomplishments past, present, and future. Euterpe's name means bringer of delight or rejoicing well, and she is generally regarded as the muse of music and lyric poetry. If you've heard the term lyric poetry over and over and over in school like I did, and you're not really sure what it is and nobody really explained it very well, lyric poetry is a first-person storytelling set to music. So it's music, it's just songs. So like most of the songs you like probably are lyric poetry. So they are the lyrics, the poetry that is accompanied by music. She's also thought to be the inventor of the aulos, which is the double flute. You see it a lot in Greek art. Usually like the pans and the satyrs have it, which is like the two flutes with the one mouthpiece, and they like play it like this. And so for that reason, she is also considered the muse of musicians. So if you're interested in getting a little bit more Euterpe in your life, you could listen to music, because most of that is lyric poetry. You can write your own music. You can write your own poetry. You can write your own like instrumental music and play them for her and hope to like bring her blessings down on you. And obviously for these two, wine and honey will also be very welcome. Now, if you want a little bit more Muse action while you're waiting for my next video to come out, let me suggest Mount Helicon. Let's get really close on it. Isn't that beautiful? This is a book that my sister wrote. My sister wrote this book, and she published it. I actually beta read it for her 1,000 years ago. It's really, really good. It's the story of a scientist named Durante who's like a little bit stuck in his studies, and so just by chance he happens to stumble upon the Muses, and they're the real Muses. They're not just like models or whatever. And so he gets sucked into this world of magic and corruption and like epic danger, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's like Disney's Hercules meets BBC Atlantis meets a little bit of other weirdness. It's got a little bit of the Marvel MCU in there. So I think you guys will really enjoy it. If you enjoy the Muses and you enjoy a fun little adventure story, I think you'll really love this book. So give it a look. I'm going to post the link in the description so you guys can go check that out. I think it is available for ebook and paperback. Obviously I have the paperback because I'm loyal, but I think there is also an ebook. So that is it for me today. It's a little bit of a short one, and just because a deep dive into anything Greek is a terrifying prospect, so I had to keep it short or I was going to lose my mind. That being said, if you guys would like a deeper dive, let me know and I can certainly do that for you. Alrighty, so that is it for me. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!